peace for all seasons, love every moment, light shines wherever we are, faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Every day is a choice to show some kindness. We're all a part of one family, so connected, our hearts and spirit. I'll reach out for you, you reach out for me. Peace for all seasons, love every moment, light shines wherever we are, faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Let's celebrate peace, let's celebrate love, let's celebrate light. We're gonna shine, shine, shine. Let's celebrate faith, let's celebrate hope, let's celebrate joy in our hearts. Celebrate peace, let's celebrate love, celebrate light. We're gonna shine, shine, shine. Let's celebrate faith, let's celebrate hope, let's celebrate joy, joy in our hearts. Peace for all seasons, love every moment, light shines wherever we are, faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Peace for all seasons, love every moment, light shines wherever we are, faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts, joy, joy in our hearts, joy, joy in our hearts. Ooh, celebrate peace, let's celebrate joy, let's celebrate love in our hearts. Let's celebrate peace, celebrate faith, celebrate hope. Joy in our hearts.
Beautiful. Just
Oh,
fabulous.
I was warming up.
All day long, girl, all day long. Welcome. My name is Stephanie, and I am joining you today to do what I do. And since sometimes we don't know what that is, sometimes it's a surprise to me too. It is my pleasure to greet you today. For those of you who are in sanctuary, and for those of you who are watching from live stream, we affirm that we are all one in spirit. Now, our guest speaker today is Reverend David McClure. We're very lucky to have him. Please give him a warm welcome. The title of his talk is Game On. Game On. Well, that's kind of how I felt this morning as I was coming in. For those of you who don't know me very well, I'm in the wedding industry, and yesterday was one of our giant fests for Spokane, and I used a lot of words, but I just want you to know I didn't use them all. I saved some for you. I didn't leave it all on the floor. But I am a little hoarser today than I usually am, and well, I'm not actually usually ever, but having said that, the projection of my voice that I normally have, lucky for you, is not all that it usually is. Now, having said that, special thanks. Number one, woohoo! our beautiful Sandra, because she does such an amazing job.
Thank you.
Just fantastic. And I just love to listen to you, and I love it when you have your accompaniments, but it is nice to know, as if it was ever a question, that you hold this all by yourself, and it's fantastic. Thank you for that. We also want to give special thanks out to our media team, because without them, none of this happens. None of you get to enjoy my personality or David Reverend McClure, and that would be a tragedy. You wouldn't get to hear our beautiful Sandra sing. That would be a tragedy. So we are very, very grateful for what they do for us. Byron and Wayne, thank you so much for what you do. And now I invite you to join me in prayer. Sweet Spirit, we open our hearts to receive you. We greet this day centered in God and in the knowledge that we are all one in the Spirit of Christ. It is from this consciousness that we each become an individual expression of the love of God. We envision sending this love out to our world, seeing love extending out to our Unity community, to the city of Spokane, and out across the globe. We honor all those who worship on this day, no matter what religion, for we know that there are many paths to God, but there is only one God. In the warm and loving spirit of unity, we say thank you, God, and amen. And now we get to hear more from the beautiful Sandra, and then we'll open for meditation.
When I open my mind, when I open my mind, when I open my mind, I see more clearly. When I open my mind, when I open my mind, soul, when I open my soul, I see love. When I open my soul, I see love.
Now I invite you to go into the stillness. For those of you who are joining us live stream, I invite you to find a comfortable position and breathe. And as we breathe in, we take in the oneness with the divine. And as we breathe out anything else occupying our attention until we feel nothing but the oneness with the divine. We hear nothing but the sound of the divine. We are filled with the peace of the divine. Touch this peace. Feel the perfection in the peace and the silence. Here we leave the cares of the world behind, and we become fully aware of the presence of God. The past and the future fall away. There is only the vast, pristine, present moment of now, this eternal now. Our faith in the divine order and in the power of God gives us the strength we need to face any situation, remaining calm and expectant of a positive outcome. We have the power to choose our path and our actions. We keep our faith strong as we connect in oneness with the divine. Our energy remains positive and calm, and our hearts remain peaceful with a high outlook. We affirm the good we want to experience, and we hold a vision of the good we want to see in the world. And we think and act as if that has already come to be. And as we breathe deep into the stillness, we take a few moments to go into the silence, feeling that peace and oneness with the divine presence and with one another. And we breathe deeper into the stillness. we begin to find our way back to awareness. And as we return, we bring this peace and calm and oneness with the divine back into all of our activities, like an anchor that keeps a boat from being tossed on choppy waters. Our mindfulness and our oneness with God will keep us anchored. As we breathe ourselves back into awareness, if you have your eyes closed, I invite you to open your eyes. Look around you until you see 5 things around you. Feel 4 things that you can touch. Maybe it's the fabric of your clothing, the chair you're sitting in, the feeling of your hair against your skin. 3 things you can hear. 1 might be my voice. 2 might be the sounds of the world beginning to re-engage around you. Maybe the sound of your own breath. 2 things that you can smell. Maybe it's the fragrance of outside. Maybe it's the shampoo of a loved one next to you. Maybe it's flowers. And 1 thing you can taste as we reground ourselves in this time and in this practice. Thank you.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out the power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you.
Thank you. That one got me a little emotional.
Oh, no.
Of course, that first one had me really emotional, too. I was ready to sink on in. Okay. As we know, there are many things happening in the world. I don't know if any of you knew that the world was supposed to end yesterday.
Really?
Yes, September 22nd, or was it the 24th, 2022? Apparently there were all these prophecies and signs, and I missed them because my sister called me. She said, "You know it's the end of the world tomorrow." I said, "Really?" "Well, it can't be because I have things to do."
Well, thank you for saving the world, Stephanie.
Well, and that's what I told her. I said, "I will not allow it. It's
Yeah,
not going to
good.
happen." So you're welcome.
You decreed. That
I
it was
know
not
that
the
I can do
case.
that. So I am very pleased to know that we are all here. I called her this morning before I left, and I said, "I just wanted to make sure you were still here." She said, "I made it." And I said, "Well, maybe we were part of that earth thing where, the earth is supposed to separate into a new dimension, and we're supposed to leave some behind, and some are supposed to stay, and some are supposed to go." So I said, "Did Mom make it?" Okay, I warned you when I came in that I had no idea what was going to happen today. And I just want you all to know, and Mom, I know you've never seen me do this, so I just want you to know if by some chance it happens that I love you and I adore you. But yes, you are the brunt of my joke today. And on that note, I am very glad the world did not end yesterday, but there are still things happening in the world that are not so joyful. And I know that we have a vision of a peaceful end to the violence of Ukraine, but there is a lot happening everywhere. It's not just Ukraine, it's Iran, it's everywhere. But we, as people of unity, we have a vision of peace. And I would like if everyone could hold a vision of a peaceful end to the violence everywhere. And I invite you to share with me a unity statement for peace together. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God. For there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each of us equally. Unity stands for peace in our lifetime. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever name for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war, for this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. And now I'd like to invite you all to stand, acknowledge the divine in one another. And for those of you who are joining us live stream, I encourage you to envision yourself with all of those that you consider a part of your spiritual community. Feel yourselves expressing love towards these individuals, beholding the divine presence within each of them, and receiving the blessing and divine love back from them. Thank you. And now,
Music.
thank you. Now we get music. And then we get David.
Nothing's impossible, I have found, for when my chin is on the ground, I pick myself up, dust myself off, and I start all over again. Don't lose your confidence if you slip. Be grateful for that pleasant trip. Just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Work like a soul inspired till the battle of the day is won. You may be sick and tired, but you'll be a man, my son. Will you remember the famous man who had to fall to rise again? So pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Nothing's impossible. I have fun when my chin is on the ground. I pick myself up, I dust myself off, I start all over again. Don't lose your confidence if you slip. Just be grateful for a pleasant trip and pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Work like a soul inspired till that battle of the day is done. Well, you may be sick and tired, but you'll be a woman. Yeah, that too. Will you remember the famous man who had to fall to rise again? So pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Will you remember the famous man who had to fall but rose again? So pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again.
Thank you for that pick-me-up, Sandra. That was perfect. That was perfect. Good morning, Spokane. Good to be back with you again today. And my subject for today is game on. Can you all say that together? That's an affirmation that we're going to use today. Game on. Good. I want to start out with a story about a young boy who enters a barber shop, and the barber whispers to another of the customers and said, "This kid that just came in, he's the dumbest kid on the block. Watch what happens. I'll prove it to you." So the barber puts a dollar bill in one hand and 2 quarters in the other, and he calls the boy and he says, "Okay, which do you want?" And the boy takes the quarters and leaves. And the barber says, "What did I tell you? This kid never learns." So later the customer leaves and he sees the young boy coming out of an ice cream parlor. And he says, "Son, can I ask you a question? Why did you take the quarters instead of the dollar bills?" And he says, "Because the day I take the dollar bill, the game is over." Did you know that each time when you wake up in the morning and get out of bed, you have a choice between game over or game on? You always have that choice. So what was it like to, I know that Stephanie got up on the right side this morning, and I know Donna did, and I think I did pretty well too. Is your life just about over? Or are you ready to begin a new chapter? Dust yourself off and back in the flow of things again. One of the early classic metaphysical books that was published in 1925 was called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. I don't know if any of you have read that book, but it's worth finding a copy if you can. In her book, Mrs. Shinn says, life is not a battle. Life should not be a struggle. It should be fun. It should be a game. Think about that for a moment. You may think that sounds ridiculous, that life should be a game, but right here and right now, I'm about to tell you that it really, really is. And I'm going to suggest to you, actually more than a suggestion, I'm going to encourage you to start seeing your life as a game. Nothing less and nothing more. So let me ask you this question. What would your life be like if it was only a game? What would your life be like if it was just a game? And if you were to treat it that way, what miraculous things could start happening in your life? You might say, well, David, if it's a game, what are the rules? It's got to have some rules or instructions and that. And I would say, yeah, it's got some rules. Did you ever bring a new game home for people to play and they said the first thing we got to do is read the instructions, or here are the rules of the game? And that was the way it was when I was growing up around our house. My parents would bring home a new game, and I loved to play with my two older brothers and my sister, a new game. But the first thing we would do is get out the rules, get out the instructions, and read them over. My parents loved to play games too. They played bridge with grown-ups a lot, and my dad loved to play cribbage with my older brother Donald. Every game we played came with a set of instructions, and some of them had rules, things you do in the game and things you don't do. And so today I want to introduce you to a brand new game. And yes, this game does have instructions and it does have rules. Rules that if you follow will ensure that you will be winning every time you play the game. Would that be okay with you if you won every time you played the game that we're going to play together today? It means that every time you play it, you would finish the game with less stress and more happiness. In other words, you will always end up a winner if you play this game. And if I could offer you a game that guaranteed that you would always be the winner, would you be interested in playing that game? Everybody? Okay, great, okay. So for starters, Ms. Shinn, in her book, said, would you rather be a person of faith or a person of fear? I think that's a no-brainer, don't you? I think, at least in this hallowed house of unity, we would all like to be a person of faith. I remember a best-selling book that was published back in the 1960s called Games People Play by Eric Byrne. Did anybody read that book? That was a classic book. He introduced us to a term called transactional analysis, and the book sold 5 million copies, and it describes relationships, both functional and dysfunctional relationships. And in the book, Dr. Burns says, true awareness requires living in the here and now and not in the elsewhere, the past or the future. He goes on to say that most of the games that people play with life and with each other are games about the past or the future. Few of us play games in the here and the now. There was a song written back in 1971, and Sandra probably knows this song called The Games People Play. And here are some of the lyrics from that song. Woe, the games people play now, every night and every day now, never meaning what they say now, and never saying what they mean. while they while away the hours in their ivory towers till they're covered up with flowers in the back of a black limousine. Talking about you and me and the games people play now. Whoa, we make one another cry, break a heart, then we say goodbye, cross our hearts and we hope to die. That's so we can blame the other person, the other one to blame. Since then it has been used, that game has been played. Oh, there's one more verse. Oh, I forgot that. I've got to have that. Neither one who is playing that game will ever win now. So we gaze at an 8x10 thinking about the things that might have been, and it's a dirty, rotten shame. Look around till we see, is there somebody we can blame? What's happening to you and to me? God, grant me the serenity to remember who I am. Those are the lyrics of the song. So my prayer for you this morning is that you are granted the serenity to remember who you are, to really remember who are you anyway. I'm saying to each of you this morning that if you would rather be a person of faith than a person of fear, then it's game on. But if you would rather be a person of fear, as Stephanie was talking about all the stuff that's going on in the world and all the fearful thoughts around that, then it's game over for you. And maybe the planet did get destroyed yesterday and we're living in another dimension of some sort. Maybe that happened. Check with your mother and we'll find out. Yeah. If we come and become a person of faith, and God knows if we're in Unity Church, we are people of faith, it is always game on for us. Because faith is always remembering who we really are. And that opens up more and more and more for our lives, staying in the game, enjoying the game, winning the game. Now, the term game on appears as early as back in the 1970s, and it started during a game of darts. And it meant starting a round of play, often appearing in the phrase, "It's game on," or the expression, "Game on, we're going to play another game of darts." Since then, it has been used to convey that something is about to start or get underway. It was back in the 1500s when we see the first sign of the word game come on the scene, and it was used to refer to some kind of competition. From the game of darts, following this rallying cry of game on, this spread to a range of context in which there was some kind of call to begin a contest of some sort, game on. And it was an expression when I was growing up on the streets of Toronto, or at least we used to get out on the streets and play street hockey, we called it. Canadians play hockey, and we played even in the summertime, we played hockey. That's where I first heard this term, game on. In 1991, it appeared in the TV comedy Wayne's World. You might have remembered it from there. But outside of sports, when someone cries, game on, they are welcoming or encouraging or perhaps taunting and daring some sort of challenge in your life. Whether it be at home or in the workplace or partying. For instance, why don't we see who can make the most sales in one day? Game on. I'm in this, and I'm willing to do this. Game on has now evolved into cheering on an event after some kind of initial business has been conducted. For example, after the wedding ceremony, game on for the reception. Let's get the reception going. Let's cut the cake and get on with this game. Other examples of game on might be this. I really didn't feel like going out tonight, but somebody found a babysitter, so game on, you know? Or I'm not sure if I'm ever going to, I'm never sure if I'm ever going to find what my life is all about, but I got a glimpse of it today, so game on. I'm ready to find it. So let's say that affirmation again together. Game on. Okay. Now, if you've had a time in your life, perhaps recently, when you have had, perish the thought, you have had thoughts of game over, perhaps it's because you found yourself in a predicament or a situation or a stage of life that you regarded as hopeless or irreversible. There's no way out of this situation, is the thinking that's going on in our mind. If we don't get some money soon, it's game over. Or if my diagnosis doesn't improve, it's game over. Or if you don't get your act together, it's game over. Donna tells me that all the time. And now that I've reached this age, it's pretty much game over for the rest of my life. That's not my thought, but that's some people's thought. At my age, I'm running out of games. So we pretty much begin using this term endgame. Endgame is a term used in chess, meaning we're running out of moves, running out of pieces on the chessboard to play. Few pieces are left. It's the end of the game. But I'm here to tell you there's no end. There's no end to chess. There's no end to darts. There's no end to forgiveness from my wife. There's no end to the livingness and the joy of life. You know, I was thinking about our situation here in this particular church when our former minister, Evan Wilkins, suddenly mailed in his resignation. You may have remembered that from time. We may have temporarily and very quickly thought, well, it's game over. But was it? Is it? No, it's not. It might be for him, but it's not for us. Our game is still in progress, and it's still going strong. So if you are at any kind of game over stage in your life, I have a new proposal for you this morning, and it begins with the rallying cry, game on. And the game that I'm inviting you and indeed encouraging you to play is the one that the universe has been continuously beckoning you to play from day one. And it is a game where there are no setbacks, no disappointments, and no having the rug pulled out from under you. I always remember the Peanuts cartoon where Lucy holds the football and Charlie Brown's supposed to kick the football and she always pulls it away just at the last moment. There's none of that from the universe. The universe is not going to pull the football away from you. Now, when I was growing up in Toronto, I lived on a street that had a lot of kids on it, and I had this one neighbor boy who was my buddy. His name was Billy, and I can still hear Billy knocking on the door of our house, and my mother would come to the door, and I could hear Billy say, "Can David come out and play today?" And she would always, pretty much, unless I'd been a bad boy, said, "Sure, he can go out and play today." Well, I'm here to tell you that the unlimited universe of infinite possibilities, which is my current name for God, is even right now knocking on the door of your consciousness and saying, "Can you come out and play?" In fact, it's been saying that over and over and over again for a long, long time. The universe is always, always wanting to play with you. It's wanting to run and skip with you and dance with you and do all those wonderful things. It wants to bless you. There's nothing it would want more than to bless you, to guide you, to help you create the most exciting, the most enjoyable version of yourself that you can ever imagine, now and forevermore. So, and here's the cool part about all of this. Not one thing is required for this to happen. Not one thing. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to send in a coupon. You don't have to attend church every Sunday or swear on a stack of daily words. The only rule in this game is this. You have to stop taking yourself and your circumstances so damn seriously. That's the only rule that's being asked of you. Life is too important to be taken seriously. Another way of saying this, the only rule is that you have to go on a complaint-free diet. Are you willing to do that for a month? Because this game that I'm going to have you play in a minute, it takes a month to get results, or I'm giving you a month, let's put it that way. That means releasing the belief that all the stuff you see on the evening news is more important than what is really true and really real. And the reason that why some of us have still been talking in terms of game over is that we have been giving this material world much more weight than it deserves. Most of us folks here on the planet have put most of our stock in what we experience with our five senses. And if we continue to do this, even though science has proven repeatedly that there's so much more going on than what our five senses reveal to us, but if we insist on doing that and making the world that we see with our five senses real, then it's game over, and the world will come to an end, whether yesterday or tomorrow. One of the negative games in Eric Byrne's Games People Playbook is called Ain't It Awful? Have you ever played Ain't It Awful with anybody? You know, do you know what Stephanie did yesterday? You need another partner to play it with, and they have to go, oh yeah, isn't that awful? Isn't that terrible? And that was one of the games that he spent a lot of time talking about. Well, so many people are heavily invested in the awfulness of the world that the five senses report to us. That's all they see and that's all they talk about. No wonder we often think, game over for that relationship, game over for the world, and game over for the person we're awfuling, whoever that may be, too. But you can check out of that game, Ain't It Awful, anytime you want, anytime you please, in the twinkling of an eye. You can cash in all those chips right here and right now, and all you have to do is change your diet from game over to game on, which means leaving Ain't It Awful behind once and for all. Do you think you can do that? Ain't it awful? I'm going to give you an opportunity in the next 30 days. I'm coming back in October, so I'm going to check up on you and see what you're doing. Now here's the game that I want to play with you today to finish off our time together. I'm sending you out on a treasure hunt. And have you ever been on a treasure hunt? How many people have been on a treasure hunt at some point in their life? You have, I'm sure. Well, here's the version that I want to play with you. Over the next 30 days, I want you to be on the lookout for 4 amazing treasures that will come to you directly from the universe. They're on their way right now. Absolutely, they're on their way. They will come to you directly from the universe, and They're on their way right now. Here's the first treasure that you will, oh good, we're handing out the list of the treasures so you can take it home and check them off as you get those treasures. Treasure number one in this treasure hunt is that you will receive or see a personal symbol, a totem, or a sign that tells you that the universe has your back. It may be a stone that you see, it might be, it could be anything. It could be a totem that comes before you. Every time right now I'm seeing Jeeps because that was an intention. Pam Grier has this in E Squared, her book. She says it was called, the chapter was called The Volkswagen Jetta Experience. And she said, see how many Volkswagen Jettas you can find. Well, I didn't like Volkswagen Jettas, so I chose Jeeps. And Donna, do I see Jeeps or what? Everywhere, all the time. And it tells me the universe has my back. I don't like Jeeps, but necessarily I just chose them. And here they are in all their beauty. Well, so this is a sign that the universe has you in its heart and in its care. This symbol will show up for you in the next 30 days at a time when you need it most, when you need the reassurance, the bolstering, the guidance. It will hint, it will wink at you. There will be a nod of some sort that you are on the right track. Pam Grout is the author of another book that I'm doing a book series on right now called Thank and Grow Rich. This is a great book if you want to read something. She calls this first treasure the Carol Burnett principle. And you might remember from her variety show that at some point in the show, Carol Burnett would pinch her earlobe. And she did that as a remembrance to her grandmother who raised her. And people didn't figure that out for years, but they finally found out why she did this. And so those of you who open yourself up to the field of unlimited possibilities, there will be some kind of sign for you. So can you do that? Can you look for that sign and keep your eyes peeled and your ears open for that? That's your first assignment. That's the first treasure. The second treasure is to be on the lookout for a magical blessing from the natural world. It might be a bird in a tree. I saw mine this morning. I was on our way up here. We left the house, and there was this flock of sparrows that came flying out, just an amazing group of sparrows. I said, that's my sign. They were just sparrows, but sparrows are sparrows. So during this next 30 days, take some time to make sure you get out in nature, keep your eyes open for what Pam Grout calls the Rachel Carson moment. You remember Rachel Carson's book, The Silent Spring? And in that book, she said, if you look for a sign, you will be struck with a sense of wonder that will provide you with an unfailing antidote against boredom and your sterile preoccupation with things that are artificial. So whether you know it or not, right now, as you speak, the natural world is getting ready for you to put on a show. We know we're going to get beautiful leaves here in Spokane, but it is stepping up to open your eyes and your heart for something amazing. Pam Grout tells a story in her book about a Vietnam veteran who ended up abruptly in coming home from Vietnam. He had his knee was shredded by a grenade, and he'd only been over there for 7 months, and he was airlifted out of the battlefield and returned to an America that he says wouldn't look a soldier in the eye. Remember the people that came home from Vietnam. To cope, he drank, he took drugs, and isolated, eventually migrating to San Jose, California, where he worked in a boatyard. In his continuing effort to avoid human contact, he built a 32-foot schooner on which he sailed alone deep into the Pacific. He was out of his mind, sobbing with grief and remorse, hoping for a big storm to capsize his boat and put him out of his misery. Game over. Instead, on the 8th day at sea, a 30-foot whale surfaced next to his boat and looked him straight in the eye, and the whale swam beside him for 3 or 4 hours. For reasons Harrison says he can't explain, it made me feel loved in a way that I've never been loved before. So that's the message from nature that is awaiting you. That's the second treasure that you're going to be on the lookout for, just saying. Okay. Treasure number 3. Listen for a message from the other side. Pam calls this the woo-woo game. And actually, we know there is no other side. It's just that our belief system is divided into the physical side, and we call it the other side, whatever that means. You know, most of us have chosen to pick sides with the side of life that we call the material world, the physical world, and the place where we live, and we look for all our signs and wonders in the physical world. But we may have left mystery and miracles and woo-woo out of it. And I'm inviting you to include woo-woo in. Besides, Halloween is showing up, and there's lots of woo-woo around Halloween, right? So we're going to see some of that. Most of us think, well, we have to have a body to communicate with, don't we? Well, maybe, maybe not. Maybe your mother is letting you know, you know. So I want you to keep your eye or your ear open for a message from someone or something that is wanting to communicate to you from beyond, whatever beyond is. Okay, and finally, treasure number 4. Look for a clear and unmistakable sign that something you've long clung to as being an absolute fact is not really true at all. Does your mind catch on to something right away on that one? This I call your I beg your pardon game. It may be money. You know, maybe it's money. You think that money is limited and therefore hard to come by, or there's a judgment that you have about a particular person, hard and fast. That's the way they are. I've labeled them. I've sent them on to their doom, and that's who they are. We begin to limit our possibilities. Watch for something in your experience that you believe and you'll go to your grave believing in, and the universe is saying, I beg your pardon. That may not be so after all. There may be something else going on. What you have been believing actually is hogwash. So that's the 30-day game challenge that I'm inviting you to play this morning as you say goodbye to complaints and negativity. And I'll be back in October. I'm threatening to come back here, and Wendy's got me lined up already to check back with you and see what's going on with your treasure hunt. You're probably wondering how I can promise that these will be accessible and available, and these perks will be shown to you from the universe. How can I be sure that this will happen? Well, here's the reason that I'm so sure about this, is because these treasures are already yours. You've already got them. They've always been there. It's just that you have been playing a little game of game over in places and having a steady diet of complaints and worries and fears and doubts. But they've always been there, as plain as the nose on your face, and they will come with an Amazon smile on them into your presence, right on the package. And so I challenge you today to begin your treasure hunt and to say once again our affirmation. Game on. God bless. Thank you.
Donna, I want to say thank you to you. Yes, and here's why. Because if you had not encouraged him to get his stuff together, he wouldn't have his game on. And let me tell you, you brought it today. Oh, yowza. That was fantastic. And I kind of think that maybe you're my sign. Because from the very beginning of your talk, when you were talking about game on, not game on, and immediately I was thinking about a meme that I stole from you. And that meme said, please help me accept who I am, no matter how wonderful that is.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which was one of my favorites. And then you started talking about signs. And I get signs all the time. And this is going to sound crazy for y'all that don't know me, but the universe talks to me through license plates.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. And when I decided, when I was going through some life changes, and I had a Jeep. I had her for 22 years. I loved her. I cried like a baby the day she drove away from me. But I had my heart set on something else, and when I got my new baby, the license plate was 0123, which I said everything is adding up exactly the way it's supposed to. And when I'm in trouble, the universe gives me triple zeros on license plates, which is really hard to see. And my girlfriends and I are part of a little club we invented called the Woo Woo Crew. Now we have shirts that say, we do the woo woo. And if you know me and you need something, I will often say to you, I'll get some woo-woo going for you. So thank you. So I'm looking for some of those other treasures, and you are a treasure today. Thank you. Thank you so much. And that doesn't mean that y'all aren't, because you all are treasures too. And he just told you that. Game on, people. Let's do this. Now on that, because, okay, now we've got a love offering to do. This is where you give us prayers and love, and if you've got something that folds or a little jingle, we can take care of that too. And if you want to give us a little something financially and you're not here to do that, please feel free to send it in or to go online and find the button at the top that helps you donate. You can send your donations in any way you want. And we appreciate that very much. And while our love offering is happening, we get more from the beautiful Sandra.
Okay, and you guys got to help me on this one, because I know you know this song. You have to do it. So here we go.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. One more time. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cappuccino. I don't care if I ever get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
That isn't
All right.
perfection. Thank you so much. And I invite you to join me in blessing these gifts as we affirm together our love offering statement. Together, divine love in, through, and as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you. Now, I invite you to place any prayer intentions you have in the box before you leave. And we will pray on those for 30 days along with Silent Unity, who will also pray over those for 30 days. And if you are in need of prayers, please feel free to call us. We will take those prayers. We take them seriously. We will pray over them 30 days. We'll send them to Silent Unity, and they will pray over them also. You can call the church office at 509-489-6964. Thank you. Now, we do have some announcements. And one of our announcements has to do with some of the total offerings that we've been receiving. And we have been very, very fortunate to have taken in enough donations that we've been able to donate to several organizations, and I'm going to tell you who those organizations are. We have the American Childhood Cancer Organization, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the Inland Northwest, Habitat for Humanity, Shriners Hospital for Children, and Vanessa Behan. We've also been able to donate to the Unity Worldwide Ministries, the Unity Northwest Region, and Unity World Headquarters. So thank you all for what you are doing. We are alive and well, and that is thanks to all of you.
Yeah, wow.
Also, we have a harvest party coming up on November 12th, and that's going to be here. I know sometimes I tell you not to come here. Come here. It is November 12th. This is a family fun-filled night. There will be games. There will be bingo. Who doesn't love a bingo? Bring your trolls and your markles. Game on. Game on.
Troll.
Take home crafts. And we would love an RSVP on this so that we know how much food to buy. Because otherwise we're stuck eating it. And that's just not always great. Not because the food isn't great. The food's always great. You can RSVP to, okay, nope, not doing it. Is this on our website?
It's on our Facebook page.
Okay, it's on our Facebook page. We're going to get it on our website. It's all over the church. I'm going to put it on my Facebook page if I haven't already. Or call 230-6767. That's an easy number. 230-6767, area code 509. Come out, have a great time. We are going to have a really great time. And now let's bring our children in.
Oh, Stephanie, quick thing. I have a few tickets left for our show over at Unity South.
Yes.
And the Diva Show, which is a fundraiser for the
Yes.
Unity Spiritual Center over there. $30 if you want either that, or if you're not interested in attending, I have cards. If you have friends, relatives,
Yes.
whatever, please pass a card out to them. It's going to be a great show. We have a new singer, a young woman named Vanessa Cole, who's been with Spokane Valley Theater, and then the usual round of suspects, myself, Robin, Gay Kruger-Ribble, oh my gosh, Carol Davis, Beth Rainey, a bunch of us all there, and it's going to be a blast. So I think in fact, we're rehearsing over there today. So please come see me, even just for a card or whatever, and hope we can see you there. Thank you for those who have purchased. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. And if you have, I highly encourage you to do this. Absolutely. Come
We're a
see them.
hoot.
Oh, they're more than a hoot. They are some of the most talented hoots you're ever going to see.
Well, and the second act is usually, the music is not so improvised, but our interactions are. So you get to kind of like peek in on how divas act with one another and carry on. So it's fun.
I can't wait to see how divas interact with one another.
Oh, we're supportive.
Because this diva, I've got a captive audience.
It's all good.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light, in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Well, I see you all are holding something. What have you got? What have they got?
Well, they've got hands. They've got hands. Yes, we cut out our own hands, and we were going to glue them on a rainbow, but we did not make it that far.
Hands and partial rainbows is beautiful. And what was the purpose of them?
Peacemaking. We did it because we're all peacemakers, and when we're together, it's even more. It's just better, you know?
Oh, no.
I love that. Yay. Yay, kids. Good time. And we got kitties, which is kitties rule, right? Thank you. We want to bless you and tell you how happy we are that you are with us. So, children, we bless you. We appreciate you, and we recognize the divine in you. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you, Amber. We appreciate all you're doing. Give her a hand. Thank you, and now I invite you guys to all stand, and let's gather for our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous smile. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Yeah.
Going to do our final prayer, and just remember, all of those of you who are here and all of those of you who are watching, you are loved and you are love. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. The light that shines is the light of love, lights the darkness from above, shines on me and it shines on you and shows what the power of love can do. Gonna shine my light both far and near, shine my light both bright and clear. In any dark corner that I find, I'm gonna let my little light shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. On Monday he gave me the gift of love. Tuesday peace came from above. Wednesday he told me to have more faith. And Thursday he gave me just a little more grace. Friday he told me to watch and pray. Saturday he told me just what to say. Sunday he gave me the power divine to let my holy light shine. This holy light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This holy light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Holy light of mine, well, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine.